The Council's Gambit. The Galactic Hall of Assembly fell silent as the massive doors slid open with a barely audible hiss. 5,000 representatives from across the known universe collectively held their breath as Captain Alara Voss strode confidently into the chamber, her military boots echoing against the polished floor of living crystal. Standing at just under 6 feet tall, Captain Voss appeared unimpressive to most alien delegates. Her species, humans, were neither the tallest, strongest, nor most technologically advanced in the room. Yet a palpable tension spread through the chamber as she approached the central podium, her weathered face betraying no emotion beneath her close-cropped silver hair. High Elder Zoltan, the ancient Viridian who had presided over the council for 3 centuries, leaned forward on his gravity throne, multifaceted eyes studying the human with undisguised curiosity. Captain Voss of Earth, he announced, his translator converting his whistling speech into standard galactic common. We appreciate your prompt response to our request. Voss nodded once, standing at parade rest. When a message arrives marked with the Galactic Council's emergency protocols, we pay attention. Even if it's the first communication we've received from you in 17 years. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. The humans spoke truth. The Council had maintained minimal contact with Earth since classifying it as a Class 12 death world and placing it under observation rather than inviting it into the galactic community. Circumstances have changed, Elder Zoltan said, gesturing with 3 of his upper limbs. The chamber darkened, and a holographic display materialized above the floor. It showed planets, 17 of them, each transformed from vibrant worlds into barren, strip-mined husks. The display zoomed in on massive vessels of unknown design, swarming like insects around dying worlds. The Void Armada appeared at the edge of the Perseus Arm 18 months ago, explained Admiral Krell, the militant Duraxian representative. His scaled skin reflected the red light of the holograms as he stepped forward. They've destroyed every defense we've mounted. Our most advanced warships, our tactical AIs, our energy barriers, all ineffective. Voss studied the display, her expression unchanging. And now you've come to the savages for help. Her voice carried no bitterness, just a statement of fact. Elder Zoltan's membranes flickered in the Viridian equivalent of discomfort. We misunderstood your species, Captain. What we interpreted as barbarism is exactly why you're here, Voss finished for him. Because we evolved on a planet that tried to kill us every day, because we still have predator instincts, because we never engineered the violence out of our genes like most council races. Admiral Krell huffed in reluctant agreement. Our forces fight with precision, with advanced technology, with perfect logic. The Void matches and exceeds us in all these areas. We need something different. Voss narrowed her eyes. You need unpredictability. Improvisation. Recklessness. You need Deathworlders. The hologram shifted to display tactical data, fleet movements, resource allocations, casualty reports. The figures were staggering. Billions dead, hundreds of ships lost, entire defense systems overwhelmed. Before we continue, Voss said, raising a hand, I need to understand something. The Galactic Council quarantined Earth, deemed us too dangerous for integration. Most of you voted to keep us isolated. What changed? A new figure emerged from the shadows, Commander Threll of the Nixian Combine, his iridescent skin barely containing the energy that coursed through his species' unique biology. I changed their minds, Captain, he said, his voice resonating unnaturally. 3 standard weeks ago, my battle group encountered a Void scout vessel near the Arcturus system. We deployed standard containment protocols, 3 cruisers against 1 scout. The hologram displayed the encounter, the methodical approach of the Nixian vessels, their precise formation, their coordinated attack pattern. They anticipated every move, Threll continued, mandibles clicking in frustration. 17 minutes after engagement began, 2 of my cruisers were destroyed. The 3rd was disabled. The display showed the Nixian ships falling one by one, their advanced weapons barely scratching the Void vessel. Then this happened. The hologram shifted. A small vessel appeared, angular, utilitarian, unmistakably human in design. It moved erratically, firing at seemingly random intervals, executing maneuvers that seemed suicidal. The UES Defiant was on a routine patrol, Threll explained. Captain Ortega responded to our distress call. One Earth vessel against a Void scout that had just destroyed two of our most advanced cruisers. Voss's lips quirked slightly at the mention of Ortega. Let me guess, he didn't wait for reinforcements. She, corrected Threll, did not. And she shouldn't have survived for more than 3 minutes according to our tactical models. The assembly watched in stunned silence as the human vessel performed impossible maneuvers, accelerating directly toward the Void ship, cutting engines at the last second, spinning to deliver point-blank fire to vulnerable areas before careening away in an unpredictable vector. Captain Ortega disabled the Void vessel in 12 minutes, Threll said. Boarded it in 15. Captured its database in 20. Elder Zoltan raised all 6 of his limbs for silence as the chamber erupted in excited discussion. Captain Voss, he said gravely, the data recovered from that scout ship confirmed our worst fears. The Void Armada is not simply expanding, it's heading directly for the most populated sector of our galaxy. Trillions of lives are at stake. Voss nodded slowly. And now you want Earth's help. Our soldiers. Our ships. Our Deathworld tactics. Yes, Zoltan admitted. Despite our reservations about your species' more violent tendencies. For the first time since entering the chamber, Voss smiled. It wasn't a pleasant expression. Counselors, she said, addressing the entire assembly, humans have a saying, necessity makes strange bedfellows. But before I can commit Earth's forces to your defense, I need something from you. Admiral Krell bristled. You're hardly in a position to make demands, Captain. Your world is one. Ours are many. And yet here you are, Voss countered evenly. What I need isn't resources or technology. What I need is honesty. Complete access to your tactical data, your star charts, everything you know about the Void. No more barriers, no more secrets. If we're going to fight your war, we need to know what we're fighting. The council members exchanged uneasy glances. Centuries of protocol had kept certain information compartmentalized, even among allies. Finally, Elder Zoltan spoke. Agreed. And in return? Voss straightened to her full height. In return, Earth will deploy the Phoenix Squadron, 37 ships, our most experienced combat force. Not the largest fleet we could muster, but the best. 37 ships against an armada that spans systems, scoffed a Procyon delegate from the upper tiers. This is your offer. Voss turned her gaze upward, fixing the Procyon with a stare that made the alien flinch despite the vast distance between them. You've spent generations developing technology to make war obsolete, she said, her voice carrying throughout the chamber. We've spent that time perfecting it. One Phoenix vessel already demonstrated what we can do. Imagine 37. A tense silence fell over the assembly. There is one more condition, Elder Zoltan added. Council observers will accompany your fleet. Voss nodded. They're welcome aboard. Just make sure they stay out of our way when the fighting starts. Within 3 days, data transfers between Earth Command and the Galactic Council were completed. On the 4th day, Phoenix Squadron departed Earth's orbital docks, 37 ships carrying 5,000 of humanity's most battle-hardened soldiers. As the fleet accelerated toward its first rendezvous with Void forces, news spread throughout the galaxy. The species once quarantined for being too dangerous, too unpredictable, too violent, was now the last, best hope for galactic survival. The term Deathworlders spread through galactic media, once a slur used to marginalize humans, now spoken with something approaching hope. Standing on the bridge of the flagship Phoenix, Captain Voss watched the hyperspace corridor stretching before them, a thin smile playing at her lips. Navigation, she called to Lieutenant Rama at the helm, set course for the Centauri waypoint. Let's introduce ourselves to the Void. Across 37 ships, 5,000 humans prepared for war. Not with the precision and logic of the Council races, but with the adaptive unpredictability that had kept their species alive on a world that had tried for millions of years to kill them. The Deathworlders were coming, and the galaxy would never be the same. Deathworlders unleashed. The Centauri waypoint hung like a jewel against the darkness of space, a massive artificial structure that had served as a trading hub and navigational beacon for the Galactic Council for millennia. Now it served a different purpose: bait. Captain Alara Voss stood on the bridge of the Phoenix, arms crossed as she studied the tactical display. The waypoint's normal population of 60,000 had been evacuated, leaving only automated systems and carefully placed sensors. "Status report," she said, voice calm despite the tension thrumming through the bridge. Commander Jackson Wolf, her tactical officer, swiped through multiple data streams before responding. "All Phoenix vessels in position, Captain. The Council observers are unsettled by our formation." Voss glanced at the Viridian observer, Liaison Nexel, who hovered near the rear of the bridge. His multifaceted eyes shifted rapidly between the tactical displays and the seemingly chaotic positioning of the human fleet. "Your vessels are dispersed beyond effective support range," Nexel noted, mandibles clicking with anxiety. "Standard doctrine requires." "We're not using standard doctrine," Voss interrupted. "That's why your people called us." Lieutenant Rama turned from his navigation console. Void signatures detected approaching from Vector 227. 3. Multiple vessels, count currently at 37 large signatures with approximately 50 smaller support craft. "Almost like they knew exactly how many ships we brought," Wolf muttered. Voss nodded. "They probably did." The Void shown remarkable intelligence-gathering capabilities. She pressed her calm link. "All Phoenix vessels, this is Captain Voss. Remember the simulations. Remember your training. These aren't the coordinated enemies we've faced before, they're something worse. They're predictable." A chorus of acknowledgements echoed through the calm. "Commence Operation Thunderbird," Voss ordered. "Disengage stealth systems on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark." Across the sector, 37 human vessels simultaneously disengaged their experimental stealth systems, technology the Council races had deemed too unpredictable and energy-intensive to be practical. The Phoenix Squadron appeared on scanners as if materialized from nothing, each ship in seemingly random positions around the waypoint. Nexel made a sound between a gasp and a whistle. "Impossible. Your vessels have been here the entire time." "For 3 days," Voss confirmed. "While your Council fleet made their very visible departure, drawing the Void's attention." On the tactical display, the approaching Void vessels immediately adjusted their formation, shifting from an aggressive spearhead to a defensive sphere. Their response was immediate, coordinated, and entirely predictable. Voss smiled thinly. "And now they're recalculating, trying to determine our strategy based on our positioning." "Which they can't do," Wolf added, "because there is no conventional strategy to our positioning." "Lieutenant Rama," Voss called, "signal Phoenix Squadron. Execute dance pattern Epsilon." What followed defied conventional space combat tactics. Instead of establishing firing lines or defensive formations, the human vessels began moving in seemingly random patterns, accelerating, decelerating, changing vectors at rates that strained both hulls and inertial dampeners. Nexel's translator struggled to convey his distress. "Your crews will be injured by such maneuvers. The G-forces alone." "Human bodies evolved on a high-gravity world," Voss replied without taking her eyes off the tactical display. "We can withstand forces that would crush most Council species. Our ships and training are designed accordingly." The Void Armada, facing an incomprehensible enemy tactic, reverted to its baseline programming: divide and conquer. Their forces split into smaller hunting packs, each targeting a human vessel. Exactly as Voss had predicted. "Now," she ordered. "Weapons free. Execute protocol switchback." The Phoenix vessels abruptly altered their chaotic dance. Ships that had been fleeing suddenly turned to attack. Vessels that appeared damaged revealed fully operational weapons systems. The careful void formations found themselves surrounded, outmaneuvered, and engaging enemies that refused to follow predictable patterns. On the main view screen, Voss watched as the UES Hermes, commanded by Captain Wei, executed a maneuver that would have been suicidal by Council standards, cutting all engines, rotating the vessel 180 degrees while maintaining momentum, then engaging full reverse thrusters precisely as a void cruiser moved into pursuit position. The maneuver brought all of Hermes' forward weapons to bear at point-blank range against the void vessel's vulnerable propulsion systems. Tactical analysis confirms 5 void vessels disabled, 3 destroyed, Wolf reported, unable to keep the satisfaction from his voice. Our casualties, minor systems damage to the Athena and Perseus. No hull breaches. No personnel casualties. The bridge crew maintained their professional demeanor, but a current of excitement ran through them. Decades of being dismissed as primitive warmongers by the Galactic Council, and now they were demonstrating exactly why those primitive instincts mattered. Captain, Lieutenant Rama called, "We're receiving transmissions from the Void Fleet, directed at the waypoint, not at us." Voss frowned. "Put it through." The transmission appeared on the main screen, a series of mathematical sequences and binary pulses. "They're attempting to interface with the waypoint's automated systems," Nexel explained, mandibles clicking rapidly. "If they gain control of the station's defenses." "They won't," Voss interrupted. "Because there are no automated defenses. We removed them." The Viridian observer's multifaceted eyes blinked in confusion. "Then what is their objective?" Before Voss could respond, Lieutenant Commander Prisha Kaur, the ship's science officer, straightened at her station. "Captain, energy readings from the waypoint are spiking. They're attempting to overload the central reactor." As anticipated, Voss said calmly. "Commander Wolf, signal the Ares, Prometheus, and Valkyrie. Execute Protocol Honeypot." 3 Phoenix vessels broke from their engagement patterns and accelerated toward the waypoint, moving in perfect coordination despite the chaotic battlefield. "They'll never reach it in time," Nexel protested. "The reactor cascade will." The words died as the waypoint central hub erupted in a blinding flash, then another, and another. Not the catastrophic explosion of a reactor core, but the precisely calculated detonations of human explosive devices. "We removed the reactor too," Voss explained, allowing herself a small smile at the Viridian's shock. "Replaced it with our own systems. The Void just tried to trigger a trap that isn't there, and walked into ours instead." The shockwave from the controlled explosions radiated outward, catching 6 Void vessels that had moved closer to the station to better transmit their control signals. The electromagnetic pulse that followed disrupted their systems momentarily, just long enough for the approaching human vessels to target their now vulnerable command centers. "The Void commanders are adapting," Wolf warned, studying the tactical displays. "Their remaining vessels are retreating, regrouping into a defensive formation." "Let them," Voss said. "They've learned what we wanted them to learn, that we're unpredictable. That fighting humans isn't like fighting the Council races." She tapped her comm link. "All Phoenix vessels, disengage and prepare for hyperspace jump to coordinates Delta, 7. Mission accomplished." As the human fleet regrouped and prepared to jump, Nexel approached Captain Voss, his normally fluid movement stiff with what might have been awe or fear, or both. "Captain," he said, "the Council underestimated your species." "This victory wasn't a victory," Voss interrupted. "It was a demonstration. The real fight comes next." The Galactic Council's emergency session chamber buzzed with activity as representatives from 100 worlds reviewed the battle data from the Centauri waypoint. Elder Zoltan presided from his gravity throne, his normally impassive features animated with something approaching hope. "The human tactics defy conventional analysis," Admiral Krell admitted, his scaled skin flushed with the Duraxian equivalent of excitement. Their randomized attack patterns, their willingness to execute high-risk maneuvers, they fight like no species we've encountered. And the Void cannot predict what it cannot understand, added Commander Threll of the Nixian Combine. For the first time, we have seen Void vessels retreat rather than press their numerical advantage. Elder Zoltan raised his upper limbs for silence. Captain Voss's report indicates this was merely a probing action. A test of Void responses. The Phoenix Squadron is now proceeding to Nexus Prime, the likely target for the next major Void assault. The massive holographic display at the chamber's center showed the strategic importance of Nexus Prime, a heavily populated system at the junction of 7 major hyperspace lanes. If it fell, the Void would have direct access to the heart of Council space. We must reinforce them, Krell insisted. The humans fought well, but 37 ships cannot stand against the main Void fleet. Elder Zoltan's membranes flickered in the Viridian equivalent of a smile. Captain Voss anticipated your concern, Admiral. Her response was illuminating. He gestured, and Voss's recorded message played for the assembly. Send observers if you must, but not reinforcements. Additional ships following Council tactical protocols will only confuse our operations and provide the Void with predictable targets. The Phoenix Squadron works best alone. We'll hold Nexus Prime or die trying. Either way, you'll learn something about fighting the Void. A murmur ran through the assembly, respect mingled with indignation at the humans' boldness. We've underestimated these Deathworlders, Elder Zoltan concluded. Perhaps we should trust them now. Nexus Prime's 3 suns cast overlapping shadows across the bridge of the Phoenix as Captain Voss reviewed final preparations. The system's civilian population had been evacuated, its orbital platforms converted into defensive positions according to specifications that had made the Council engineers question human sanity. Void fleet detected, Lieutenant Rama announced. Massive signature, at least 300 capital ships with supporting vessels. Commander Wolf whistled softly. Significantly larger force than our intelligence suggested. Or they're adapting to us faster than anticipated, Voss replied, her expression grim. Status of Operation Hornet's Nest. All defensive platforms are in position, confirmed Lieutenant Commander Kor. Quantum mines deployed as specified. The Council engineers still believe the configuration is suboptimal. Because they're thinking in terms of maximum coverage, Voss said. We're thinking in terms of maximum chaos. She activated the ship-wide comm, all hands, battle stations. This is not a drill. As klaxons sounded throughout the Phoenix and her sister ships, Voss turned to address the 3 Council observers on her bridge, representatives from the Viridian, Duraxian, and Nixian governments. What you're about to witness may seem reckless, even suicidal by your standards, she told them frankly. I suggest you remember that humans evolved on a world where predators lurked in every shadow, where natural disasters could destroy entire civilizations, where survival required not just intelligence but instinct. The observers exchanged uneasy glances. Your pessimism is unwarranted, Captain, the Duraxian representative said stiffly. We've analyzed your tactics from the Centauri engagement. While unconventional, they were effective. Voss smiled thinly. Then you've already missed the point. We won't be using the same tactics again. The Void Armada approached in perfect formation, a testament to their computational efficiency and strategic programming. Against Council forces, such precision had proven devastating. Against the scattered, seemingly chaotic deployment of the human vessels and their jury-rigged defensive platforms, it would prove their undoing. All Phoenix vessels, Voss commanded, execute Protocol Wildfire. What followed would be studied in military academies across the galaxy for centuries to come. The human ships, instead of establishing defensive positions or organized attack patterns, executed what appeared to be 37 completely independent battle plans. Some charged directly at the Void formation. Others hung back, picking off stragglers. Still others darted between the stars of the Nexus system, using the gravitational wells to perform slingshot maneuvers that defied computational prediction. The defensive platforms, rather than creating a cohesive network, operated on randomized firing patterns and irregular movement cycles. The quantum mines, rather than forming a protective barrier, had been clustered in seemingly arbitrary concentrations, until the Void Fleet's precise formations drove directly into them, triggering chain reactions that rippled through their ranks. They're attempting to establish a predictive algorithm, Core reported, monitoring the Void communications. Their tactical systems are searching for patterns in our movements. Let them search, Voss replied. Lieutenant Rama, signal all vessels to execute Protocol Switchback Alpha. Immediately, the Phoenix Squadron vessels altered their tactics again. Ships that had been attacking aggressively fell back into defensive positions, vessels that had been providing covering fire suddenly launched daring assaults. The constant tactical shifts prevented the Void's adaptive algorithms from establishing baseline predictions. On the main view screen, Voss watched as a Void dreadnought, confused by the unpredictable movements of 3 human corvettes, maneuvered directly into the firing arc of the Phoenix's main particle cannons. Fire, she ordered. The dreadnought's shields flared and failed under the concentrated barrage. Secondary explosions rippled along its hull as internal systems cascaded into failure. Void Fleet is showing signs of disorganization, Wolf reported, unable to keep the satisfaction from his voice. Their formation coherence is degrading. Ships are breaking ranks to pursue individual targets. Just as planned, Voss said. Signal all vessels, commence Phase 2. The scattered Phoenix ships abruptly reversed course, converging on a single point in space just beyond the largest concentration of Void vessels. The maneuver appeared to be a desperate attempt at consolidation, exactly the kind of predictable tactic the Void would have expected from Council forces. The Void Fleet, sensing an opportunity to eliminate the human threat in one concentrated attack, adjusted course to intercept the converging Phoenix Squadron. They've taken the bait, Wolf confirmed. Voss nodded. Activate the gravity pulse. At the convergence point, a device of human design, cobbled together from repurposed Council technology and Earth innovations, activated. The resulting gravitational distortion didn't simply disrupt the approaching Void vessels, it created a cascading effect that pulled them toward each other, transforming their precise formation into a chaotic tangle of colliding ships. Now, Voss ordered. All vessels, weapons free. Target their command ships. The Phoenix Squadron broke formation once more, each vessel selecting targets from among the disoriented Void Fleet. Precision strikes targeted communication arrays, propulsion systems, and command centers. Within 20 minutes, the once mighty Void Armada had been reduced to scattered groups of damaged vessels attempting to retreat. Void Fleet is in full withdrawal, Wolf announced. 37% of their force destroyed, another 42% severely damaged. A cheer went up from the bridge crew, quickly silenced by a sharp look from Captain Voss. Casualties? She asked. The Hermes and Athena have suffered significant damage, Wolf reported, his expression sobering. The Orion didn't make it. All hands lost. Silence fell over the bridge. 123 lives.